We often seek comfort in the familiar, a soft blanket of shared illusions that shields us from the harsh winds of reality. Humanity, in its collective journey, has mastered the art of turning away, of averting its gaze from the unsettling reflections that stare back from the uncomfortable mirror. There are truths about our nature, about the very fabric of our existence, that are so profoundly uncomfortable, so deeply inconvenient, that we build elaborate defenses to avoid confronting them. These are not the pleasantries of polite society, nor the comforting narratives of self-help gurus promising an easy path. These are the 7 cruel truths about humanity that no one truly wants to accept. Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who dared to gaze into the abyss, understood this deeply. He saw how the herd, as he called it, preferred the safety of the flock, the embrace of comfortable falsehoods, over the arduous, often solitary, ascent of self-overcoming. Man is something that must be overcome, he proclaimed in asterisk, thus spoke Zarathustra asterisk. But how can one overcome that which one refuses to acknowledge? This journey begins not with grand pronouncements of strength, but with the quiet, courageous act of seeing what we have diligently worked to ignore, both within ourselves and within the species we belong to. This exploration is not an exercise in cynicism, nor a descent into despair. Instead, it is an invitation to embrace a more potent, more authentic form of power. The secret Nietzsche we uncover here is not a hidden dogma, but a radical honesty. It is the understanding that true intellectual independence, the kind that renders you impervious to manipulation and the shallow currents of popular opinion, is forged in the fires of self-awareness. It is built upon the bedrock of acknowledging these often unwelcome truths about who we are. As we delve into these 7 fundamental realities, we will touch upon the profound psychological and philosophical implications. We will understand how facing what we fear, what we deny, is the very first step towards cultivating an unshakable inner strength, a resilience that can withstand the inevitable storms of life. This is not about finding easy answers, but about asking the difficult questions and finding the courage to live with them. Prepare yourself for a journey that may feel unsettling, perhaps even painful at times. But know this, within that discomfort lies the seed of liberation. By confronting these truths, by allowing them to wash over us without recoiling, we clear the ground for something far more profound, the cultivation of authentic personal power and the quiet dignity of a self-authored existence. This is an invitation to look into the mirror, to see what is truly there, and to begin the difficult but ultimately liberating work of overcoming. The first cruel truth we must confront is the pervasive, often unconscious engine driving almost every human endeavor, the will to power. It is an instinct so fundamental, so deeply woven into the fabric of our being that we have become adept at masking it, cloaking its raw impulse in the garments of altruism, duty, or even love. We tell ourselves stories of selfless sacrifice, of pure intentions, when often beneath the surface lies a more primal urge to grow, to expand, to exert our influence, to affirm our own existence in the grand theater of life. Nietzsche himself laid bare this core principle, stating, "Everything in the organism is organically related to the will to power." The will to power is the most fundamental instinct. This is not a cynical accusation, but a stark observation. It explains why actions that appear purely selfless can still serve deeper needs for control, for a sense of agency, or for the profound affirmation that comes from shaping our environment and the lives within it. Think of the subtle social maneuvering, the carefully chosen words, the grand political ambitions, or even the quiet dedication to a craft. At their root, these are often expressions of this fundamental will to become more, to achieve more, to simply asterisk be more. Understanding this drive within ourselves is the first step towards genuine self-mastery. It allows us to shed the layers of self-deception, to recognize the true motivations behind our choices, and to navigate the complex landscape of human interaction with a newfound clarity. When we see this will to power in others, we are less likely to be swayed by superficial displays of virtue or to fall prey to manipulative tactics. We can discern the underlying currents of ambition, of need, of desire for dominance or growth, and engage with a more informed and grounded perspective. It is crucial, however, to differentiate Nietzsche's concept of the will to power from a crude understanding of brute domination or simple tyranny. It is not inherently about subjugating others, though it can certainly manifest in such destructive ways. Rather, it is a drive for growth, for overcoming limitations, for self-mastery and self-creation. It is the vital energy that compels life to expand, to flourish, to assert itself against resistance. The challenge lies in harnessing this force ethically, directing it towards self-overcoming and creation rather than destructive control. The liberation that comes from recognizing this primal force is immense. It allows us to engage authentically with our own ambitions, to understand the true source of our desires, and to navigate the motivations of others with a discerning eye. To acknowledge the will to power is not to succumb to it, but to understand the fundamental architecture of human action, paving the way for a more honest and empowered existence. The second cruel truth we must confront is the deeply unsettling reality that our cherished notions of morality are not etched in stone by some divine hand, but are, in large part, human constructs born from power dynamics. The very concepts of good and evil, which we often hold as absolute, are frequently reflections of a struggle for dominance, a battle fought not with swords, but with values. Nietzsche distinguished between two primary forms of morality: the master morality of the strong, the noble and the self-affirming, and the slave morality that arises from the resentment of the weak, the reactive, and the oppressed. The noble individual in the master morality defines good as that which is powerful, healthy, and life-affirming, and bad as that which is common, weak, or base. Conversely, the slave morality, born from a position of powerlessness, labels the values of the masters as evil and, in a reactive twist, redefines their own characteristics: humility, meekness, pity, as good. As Nietzsche observed, the noble man calls himself good. The base man, on the other hand, calls himself good. This simple yet profound statement reveals that what is deemed good is often dictated by perspective, by status, and by the inherent power or lack thereof in the one making the judgment. This realization is crucial for our psychological application and for achieving true intellectual independence. It compels us to deconstruct the societal norms and personal ethical frameworks we have inherited. We must ask ourselves, is our sense of morality a product of genuine, self-chosen values that affirm life and growth, or is it merely an echo of the herd, a reaction born from resentment, fear, or the desire for social acceptance? Understanding this distinction allows us to shed the shackles of inherited guilt and to cultivate a moral compass that is truly our own, rooted in strength and self-affirmation. Furthermore, this understanding provides a powerful defense against manipulation. How often are appeals to goodness, righteousness, or pity used to control and pacify? These appeals can be particularly potent within slave morality frameworks, which often prioritize self-denial and humility, subtly disempowering individuals and keeping them bound to the will of others. By recognizing when such moral pronouncements are rooted in reactive resentment rather than genuine strength, we can resist being coerced and begin to revalue our own principles. The freedom that emerges from this unsettling truth is profound. It is the freedom to realize that our moral compass is not immutable, but can be re-examined, re-evaluated, and ultimately realigned. It is the challenging but liberating liberating prospect of moving beyond externally imposed values towards an ethical system that is rooted in our own strength, our own affirmation of life, and our own unique path of self-overcoming. This is the dawn of genuine moral sovereignty. The third cruel truth we must confront is the pervasive, almost gravitational pull of the herd. Humanity, by its very nature, seems predisposed to conformity, to seeking solace in the collective and to valuing social approval above the often arduous pursuit of individual truth. This unconscious embrace of mediocrity, this preference for comfort and safety over critical thinking and radical independence, is one of the most significant barriers to authentic self-mastery. We are, many of us, born into the herd and live our lives within its comforting, yet ultimately limiting boundaries. Nietzsche understood this phenomenon acutely, observing how the truly exceptional, those who reach the highest peaks of self-mastery and intellectual clarity, are often met with misunderstanding and even hostility by the collective. He noted that when one has attained the highest point of self-mastery, one's intellect is at its peak. The greatest men have always been the most misunderstood. The herd, content in its shared illusions and comfortable narratives, fears and misunderstands that which deviates from its norm, that which challenges its established order. It seeks to maintain its equilibrium by either assimilating the exceptional or by marginalizing it. This herd mentality operates in subtle yet pervasive ways throughout our lives. It influences our fashion choices, our political opinions, our religious beliefs, and even our personal aspirations. We absorb the prevailing winds of thought without question, often driven by an innate fear of ostracism, the chilling prospect of standing alone and being judged by the collective. Recognizing these subtle mechanisms at play is the first step in dismantling their power over us. It requires a conscious effort to observe our own impulses and those of the groups we belong to. Cultivating intellectual independence, therefore, becomes a vital act of resistance. It requires developing practical strategies to disengage from the constant hum of groupthink. This means actively questioning popular narratives, seeking out diverse perspectives, and developing the courage to hold opinions that may differ from the prevailing consensus. It also involves embracing solitude, not as a punishment, but as a sacred space for reflection, for the unhindered forging of one's own thoughts, values, and understanding. Solitude is the crucible in which true intellectual strength is tempered. The path of the individual, the one who dares to think for themselves and to live by their own values, is often a lonely one. Yet it is in this very solitude, in this defiance of the herd's dictates, that a profound strength and an unshakable authenticity are discovered. To walk the path less traveled, to embrace the discomfort of standing alone, is to claim the ultimate freedom, the freedom to be truly oneself, unburdened by the expectations and judgments of the many. This is the essence of self-mastery, a testament to the power of the individual spirit. The fourth cruel truth, one that often strikes at the very heart of our desire for comfort and ease, is that suffering, pain, and adversity are not mere accidents or aberrations in the tapestry of life. Instead, they are essential, integral components. They are the forge in which true strength is hammered, the crucible in which character is refined, and the necessary catalysts for profound growth and self-overcoming. To deny the necessity of hardship is to deny a fundamental aspect of existence itself. Nietzsche articulated this challenging philosophy with his concept of asterisk, amor fati asterisk, the love of one's fate. He did not merely advocate for the passive bearing of what is necessary. He called for an active, passionate embrace of it. His formula for greatness was clear. Asterisk, amor fati asterisk, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. Not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but asterisk, love asterisk it. This is not resignation. It is a radical affirmation of life, seeing every event, every struggle, every moment of pain as a necessary part of the grand, unfolding unfolding narrative of one's existence. This understanding is the bedrock of true psychological resilience. It requires a fundamental shift in perspective, transforming our resistance to hardship into an active, even joyful, embrace of our fate. When we cease to fight against the inevitable currents of life and instead learn to harness them, we unlock an extraordinary power. Challenges are no longer seen as obstacles to be endured, but as opportunities for self-overcoming, as vital lessons that sculpt us into stronger, more capable beings. This is not about passively accepting misfortune, but about actively willing it to be so, understanding its role in our becoming. This active embrace of fate is the antithesis of victimhood. The question shifts from a helpless "why me" to a potent "how can this make me stronger?" This psychological transformation is critical for achieving genuine mastery over oneself and for building an unshakable inner strength. It renders us less vulnerable to manipulation, particularly the kind that preys on feelings of helplessness and victim consciousness. By affirming our agency, even in the face of overwhelming circumstances, we become the authors of our response, not merely characters buffeted by external forces. Ultimately, the most profound freedom is not found in the avoidance of pain, but in the courage to affirm life in its entirety. It is in the willingness to embrace both the soaring joys and the crushing sorrows, the triumphs and the tribulations, with an open heart and a resolute spirit. Through the power of amor fati *, we learn to love our fate, to recognize the essential role of suffering in our journey, and to emerge from its depths not broken, but transformed, more alive and more ourselves than ever before. The fifth cruel truth, perhaps the most existentially challenging of all, is the concept of the eternal recurrence. Imagine this: a demon emerging from the deepest shadows of your loneliest moments whispers a terrifying proposition. It tells you that this life you are living, precisely as it is, with every joy, every agony, every fleeting thought, every sigh, every single moment, both monumental and infinitesimally small, will repeat itself not just once, but an infinite number of times in the exact same sequence. There will be nothing new, nothing different. The question then becomes, would you embrace this fate, or would you curse the demon and your existence? Nietzsche presented this thought experiment not as a cosmological prediction, but as the ultimate philosophical and psychological test. He famously posed it: what if a demon were to creep after you one night, or in your loneliest loneliness, and say to you, "This life as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live once more and innumerable times more, and there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy and every thought and sigh and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence." Would you not throw yourself down and gnash your teeth and curse the demon who spoke thus? This is the stark interrogation of our life affirmation. It forces us to confront whether we are truly living a life we would willingly relive, or merely enduring it, wishing for an escape that never comes. This concept serves as a profound challenge to our self-mastery and our capacity for authentic living. It demands a radical evaluation of our present actions, our choices, and our deepest values. If we knew that every moment would be replayed eternally, how would we choose to act? The weight of this knowledge compels us to live with an unprecedented level of intention, courage, and integrity. It strips away the illusion of infinite chances, the comfort of believing we can always fix things later, and demands that we infuse each present moment with the significance it deserves. This is not about dwelling on past regrets or future anxieties, but about shaping the present moment into something so valuable, so deeply affirmed, that we would willingly choose its eternal return. It is the ultimate measure of whether our life is a testament to our will or a passive drift dictated by external forces. To answer the demon with a resounding yes signifies a life lived not in fear or resignation, but in conscious creation, in the courageous willing of one's own destiny. The profound affirmation of life that arises from truly embracing the eternal recurrence is the pinnacle of self-mastery. It is the ultimate expression of courage, the courage to look at the entirety of one's existence with all its imperfections and agonies, and to declare it good, to will its continuation. This is not a thought to be lightly dismissed, but a powerful lens through which to examine the very substance of our lives and to strive for a future that is not merely bearable, but truly, eternally desirable. We have journeyed through the shadows, confronting 7 cruel truths about humanity that many prefer to leave undisturbed. We've seen how the will to power subtly architects our actions, how morality is a fluid construct of power, how the herd mentality seeks to stifle individuality, how suffering is an essential forge for growth, and how the eternal recurrence serves as the ultimate test of our life affirmation. These are not pronouncements designed to instill despair, but rather they are potent catalysts. They are the sharp, clean cuts that strip away the comforting illusions, the societal veneers, and the self-deceptions that prevent us from seeing ourselves and our world with radical honesty. From the perspective of Nietzsche, these truths are not an endpoint, but a beginning. They are the necessary dismantling of false idols, the clearing of the ground upon which we can begin to construct something far more magnificent, our own values, our own meaning, our own path towards what he envisioned as the Bermensch. This is not a literal Superman of capes and powers, but a symbol of ultimate self-mastery, of a being who has overcome their limitations, affirmed life in its entirety, and created their own values from a place of profound strength and independence. This journey of self-overcoming is the very essence of embracing these uncomfortable realities. The true Secret Nietzsche is not hidden in obscure texts, but revealed in the courage to integrate these difficult insights into the fabric of one's being. These truths are not mere intellectual fodder. They are potent tools. They are the keys to unlocking a profound psychological resilience, a robust intellectual independence, and an authentic personal power that cannot be easily manipulated or undermined. By understanding the unseen forces at play, by deconstructing inherited moralities, by resisting the siren call of the herd, by embracing hardship, and by affirming life in its totality, we build an inner fortress. As you reflect on this exploration, consider which of these truths resonate most deeply within you. Where do you feel their sting most acutely? More importantly, how can you begin to wield these insights not as burdens, but as instruments of your own liberation? How can you use them to resist the subtle manipulations that seek to control your thoughts and actions? How can you cultivate that unshakable inner strength, that authentic power that springs from a deep well of self-awareness and self-acceptance? To embrace these uncomfortable realities is the highest form of courage. It is to step out from the comforting shadows of collective delusion and into the stark yet liberating light of truth. It is on this foundation of radical honesty, on this willingness to confront the cruelest aspects of existence and affirm them, that genuine self-mastery is built. It is here that the unshakable will is forged and the path to a truly authentic and empowered life is revealed.